If Martin Luther King started his war on segregation in the North and not the South, he would have failed. He would have failed miserably because in the North, they obviously had de facto segregation and they had it for a long time. They had it for the longest time. So they could easily repel Martin Luther King. They could easily repel him because they've been doing this for a long time and they would run circles around him. But in the South, it was more recent. People seem to not realize that the Southerners were forced to separate by law. They were forced. The Southerners were mingling like crazy, even during the time of slavery. They were mingling. This is so obvious. Even in the black codes, they would say freedmen, free Negroes, and mulattoes. Why are they mentioning mulattoes? Because there's enough mulattoes in the South for them to mention. And if there's mulattoes, that means that they were mixing like crazy. And even in movies, like slave movies, they will show you the worst part of slavery. But then they'll also show you, like in Django Unchained, Mr. Kennedy's woman. Who was she? She was a so-called black woman. And then Alfred Woodard, she's a so-called black woman. She had a partner who was a so-called white man. So they mixed a lot in the South. It was not a white supremacist society. White supremacists don't like being around black people. They don't like being around black people. And we know that thousands upon thousands of so-called black people got into positions of power in the South. Not the North, the South. Well, isn't the South supposed to be more racist than the North? Well, I'm telling you, no. The North was far more racist than the South. The Northerners couldn't stand the mixing that was going on in the South. So they won. And then they started kicking black people out of power because they won, they claimed their prize. You know, they're not going to let the South do whatever it wants. They won, they claimed their prize, and they're going to make the South capitulate to their way of thinking. So when they saw a whole bunch of so-called black people in positions of power, they started kicking them out. And then they forced the Southerners to separate by law. Well, if the South was so racist, why in the world were they forced to separate by law? Well, it's because they were constantly mingling. And if you want to stop that, then you have to create a law. And that's exactly what they did. So it was far more recent, this segregation was far more recent in the South than the North. So it was easy for Martin Luther King to attack the South than it was the North.